there, welcome back. I am so excited to share that I have canned something brand new for the first time. I have been canning for, oh goodness, about 10 years. And I started with salsa and then I eased into different other types of things and jams and jellies, and it's just kind of grown from there.
Hi, I'm Chanel, a former nurse, mom to 5, and homesteader alongside my husband. Through this channel and my Ready Family Guide, I help families reclaim health, joy, and purpose at home. Here you'll find natural remedies, from-scratch living, and simple steps towards a healthier, more intentional life. Families today need to rise up as the gatekeepers of their homes, protecting what comes in and nurturing true wellness. You are not alone. Welcome to our home era.
Up until now, I had never done mandarins. They went on a crazy deal at our grocery store, and so I purchased 40 pounds of mandarin oranges with very optimistic hope of being able to get to them before baby came, and thankfully I did. So my kids helped me with peeling and separating 40 pounds of mandarins. We did put a few trays through the freeze dryer as well to give that a try. That ended up not being something we would do in the future, but the canned ones ended up doing really well, and they are super yummy. After separating all of them, I soaked them overnight with some enzyme. I will put in the description below the enzyme and the amounts that I used. This is what is going to dissolve the pith. That pith makes mandarin oranges bitter, and every recipe I saw where someone didn't remove the pith, they regretted it. They regretted it because they turned out a little bit bitter, and that's just not something you want. Every mandarin at the grocery store is going to have gone through this enzyme bath, and even though it does add this additional step, I think it's worth it when you are putting a lot of effort into something. The removal of the pith was still a little bit more time consuming. For all of the jars that we did, it took about an hour and a half to remove all of the pith, but again, that hour and a half for the enjoyment of these mandarins is so worth it. The best method I found was really getting your hands in the enzyme water and moving the mandarin oranges around a ton. I tried straining, I tried rubbing them. It really just ended up having to be kind of a bit of a manual process where you picked out a handful of mandarins and manually removed the pith. Having a cloth nearby helped to kind of wipe the pith off. As you clean them off, rinse them with lots of clean water and put them in your jars. You're going to want to pack these down a little bit tight, not super tight, not bursting them, but enough that there's not a ton of room between a lot of the pieces. I used boiling water and then I mixed in some pure raw honey to make the juice. You can use just water, you can use juice, you can use a simple syrup with sugar water. There's a few different methods. I wanted to use honey. I just prefer that as a sweetener most of the time. And it was in this step for about half of the mandarins that I added a little bit of citric acid into the honey water as well. And again, you'll have to stay tuned if you want to know what the results are for that, because we have not yet tested that out. I do want to give it several months on the shelf to know if that citric acid made a difference or not. As you're filling each jar, I have these jars are a little bit warm from the dishwasher. You want to make sure your jars are super clean. Fill each jar till about a half an inch to 1 inch headspace. I usually end up giving it a little bit more than a half an inch. I've had too many jars burst in my water bath canner, and that gets very frustrating. So I like to give them just a little bit more headspace, but make sure your mandarins are covered. You'll want to stick a knife or something, I'm using the end of a spoon, down the sides to release all of the bubbles. This is important because those bubbles between the mandarin oranges is, you want all of the juice against the mandarin oranges. My kids helping me here with rings, wiping all of the edges nice and clean. I like using just a clean paper towel. If any of them are sticky, get it wet again with some clean water, and that is going to help the seal attach. Now I am putting all of the clean seals on, and then you want your rings to go on fingertip tight. You don't want to tighten them too much because that can make a jar burst as well. You just want fingertip tight. And these jars are warm. They went into warm water. Water bath can them for 20 minutes. This is where you can easily Google or use like ChatGPT. Works really good to share the size of your jars and your location so that they can tell you the amount of time you're going to want a water bath can any particular product. Our elevation requires a little bit extra time, about 5 minutes depending on the product and the size of the jars. But of course you want the water over top of the lids of the jars just by a little bit. When you're taking them out, make sure you're putting them on a clean surface where they will be undisturbed for about 24 hours. This is where you're going to hear all those beautiful little popping sounds pop down, and that is where you know that they are sealed. I did have one jar that did not seal, so they just went right into the fridge and we enjoyed it in a salad a few days later. After they have fully cooled, after about that 24-hour mark, you can just tighten the rings ever so slightly more. If ever your canned items are leaking out or that seal is not popped down in the middle of the canning lid anymore, you know that that product has gone bad. You'll want to dump that out and just clean your jar really well for reuse. So this process was a little bit more intensive than I originally thought. If you are new to canning, I would encourage you to do a different type of a product first. Do cranberry sauce, do jam, do applesauce, something else. This has more steps than regular canning does, but if you've canned anything else before and you really want to have canned mandarins, I say 10 out of 10, go for it. This is a water bath can recipe as well, which I love. You don't have to worry about having a pressure canner, which I know many people are intimidated by. Mandarin oranges are beautiful when you purchase them from the store. Oftentimes, however, people can them without removing the white fibrous pith. P-I-T-H, that is what it is called, pith. And that is a very specific enzyme that you can add to the mandarins when they soak before you can them that will remove that. You'll see here I have a tiny bit left in one of the jars here. My kids were helping me, and so there's still some in there, not a big deal. But for the most part, they are completely pith free. They're beautiful little gems. I canned this in a honey water. I added just a small amount of honey to boiling water when I put the juice in after I prepared the mandarins. And that is something that I love using, raw honey. Obviously, water bath canning it and bringing it up to that high temperature. The honey is no longer raw, but I'm totally fine with that. I think that the benefits are still there, and I know that my family's gonna love enjoying the juice with these mandarins. I am experimenting a little bit with using some citric acid and some jars without. Now, if you are new to canning as well, not something you'd need to have. It just can sometimes preserve the color a little bit better on some certain products. And so some of them I didn't mark, and some of them I just put a little dot on. And I know that those ones have a little bit of citric acid when I created the honey water. So I don't know the results of that yet. You'll have to stay tuned if you're watching this in the far future and you're wondering what we thought. I'm happy to, if you ask a question below, and I'm happy to answer that if we had felt like there was a difference at all between the citric acid or not. I use citric acid when I'm making my mozzarella cheese, so I already had some on hand. It was an easy thing to just try. So here we have our beautiful canned mandarins. These are going to have a really nice long shelf life. I am excited to find out if we notice a difference with the citric acid or not, but for now we are just enjoying them in some salads and some other recipes. I'll link in the description below our favorite mandarin salad that we love to make. They aren't as sweet as the store ones because I did just a little bit of honey in the water. So if you want to be the exact same as the store ones, you'll want to either do a simple syrup with sugar, add more honey, something like that to the water that you add. Otherwise, I hope you give this a try. If you do, please comment below. If you have any questions at all, please ask. I'd love to brainstorm with you, hear what you're doing. I love learning from other moms out there. and people that are canning and preserving food and trying new things. If you have an awesome mandarin orange recipe that you love using these in, share it below as well. I'd love to hear about that.